Right then, as everyone knows, in the UK it has got quite chilly the last couple of weeks. It's January the 8th already. Christmas been and gone. What is happening? I do not know. That cold spell didn't catch me out because what I did, on my previous episode, I've got this. If I flip you around, I've got this. I made this. It's got this breeze block bottom. As you can see, it's a breeze block wall here, the bottom here, and then it's got polycarb at 2.4 meters high. Bring you around, it goes I think that's 2 meters, so it's about 8 meters long by about, I think, 4.2, and then 2.4 from this wall, and then there's a wall with breeze block 1, 2, 3, 4 blocks high. Now this was originally all orchids, and we can see this here, there was a division here of that bubble wrap that's up there that I've pulled down. So this year I thought, right, because of the cost of electricity and stuff like that, there's all my rubbish piling up. The heater, there's one there and there's one there, 2-3 quality heaters. I normally set them, I've got 2 marks on the heaters, and they come on and they heat a minimum in this whole area. And obviously where this curtain was here, like an air curtain, I used to keep that a bit warmer, and then this cooler, and believe it or not, that bubble wrap used to keep a divide, so it used to be quite cool on this side. Then you'd walk through here in the middle, no, down the side, sorry, either side, because this was all the benches here, so I couldn't walk across. This was warmer, so this was about 10 and that was about 6. Well, I thought, you know what, because I bought this, I changed the setup. So if you look at the previous videos, you'll see all that anyway. So this video, yes, I've hooked up the heater again. Not hooked it up, it's already been hooked up. Turned it on. The last temperature I had it on was 14.5, so I must have gone from 24 down to 14.5, and then obviously turned it off when summer arrived. So I've turned it back on. Oh my god. So it's currently at 12. It was actually at 11.6 when I put it on. I've got the thermometer back on here, and that's saying it's 10.2, 10 here. If I'm honest with you, these aren't that great. They're probably, you've got I think a threshold of about 3 degrees on them if you're lucky. So they're just there as a guide, I think, for failure, not for complete accuracy. So if anyone ever thinks about getting one of these, don't think the complete accuracy, just as a guide. So anyway, 11.8, let's say. And this thermostat on here is saying 12, so actually it's not bad actually. So well, now it's fluctuated down to 10.5. There you go, that's that. Anyway, so there's a few degrees in it, or point of degrees in it. So that's on. So at the minute I've got that set to 14.5, so that will gradually slowly raise the temperature to 14.5, and then I'm going to keep putting it up in increments of like 1 degrees. And this is going to heat up this. Now there's a part of me that thinks, well, if I'm going to use a heater, that heater, why not hook it up to this one? Because this one, if I remember right, is something like, oh god, I can't remember the measurements now, but I'm sure it's 500 gallon, that is. Whereas this, well, it can't be 500 gallon, can it? I think that's 2,000 litres, and this is about 500 litres. Can't remember the gallonage, so I apologise. I've been tweaking these thermostats up a little bit because what's worried me is because it got so cold in here, and I mentioned on my last video, I actually had frost inside. This dropped down to the same temperature as outside. I saved 50% because the other heaters hadn't kicked in on my electricity bill. Because they hadn't kicked in, I know that this hadn't been on. and I looked at last year's usage, and I'd used half electricity, but it still cost me flipping 400 quid more because of the prices of electricity. But in terms of usage, I've used 50% less so far compared to last year. So obviously I've got that pump and other things running in here now. But yeah, so that's what I found on my electricity bill. So I thought, well, hang on a minute. I bought that fish last week from Gary at Gatwick, put my name on it. I'm getting that in March. And that koi that I got, it's still the toe side that I got off Gary a couple of months ago. That's still only 23 centimetres, and that was in there. Well, that's the only change. I've took that out of that one with the bigger fish and put it in this one with the 3 fish, and this is salted to 0.18. I've checked it this morning, so it was at 0.4, it's now dropped to 0.18. So I'm going to leave that, let the salt dissipate. I'm still putting Virkon in here. The pH was around about 8. I've just checked it. The ear's banging in, and that tosai is in here. So yeah, that's the news this week, if you want to call it that. The update, the heater is on. So once the temperature settled down, I probably will get that. I took the batteries out, my feeder, and that will go back on, and these will be on 3 feeds a day, and I'm going to get some sake akari into them. So I'm looking for, it'll probably take me a week to get the temperature up, probably cost me an arm and a leg, but I figured, Keith, what are you messing about at? Because I've not got loads of money, but I'm not short of money. I'm not going without food. I'm not got me eating turned off. I don't have it turned off all of November, waxed on October. But what I've noticed is a lot of me plants, these plants, I'm getting some leaf loss, because what happened was my fan packed up. I didn't replace it. I got that solar one there that's whizzing away now. Look, to go over these, and honestly it got very cold. And these are cold. These are cool. And some of them cold growing plants, but that combination of lack of airflow, coolness, cold, I've got a lot of leaf loss on them. It's like a botrytis that they get. So I put some sulfur on them, shook a few out. There you go. And decided that yes, if it's going to cost me, say from now to summer, another £300, then is it worth it to have this heated in here more, so the temperature in these are raised? Because at the minute this was 10.8, because the ambient temperature in here now on thermometer is 12 degrees. So whatever the temperature of the room area will be the temperature of these. So I could, but I'm not. I could put these on higher. So I could put those on higher. Say if I put them to 22 degrees, 23 degrees, whatever, that would keep this room, this area to 23 degrees, and these would be 23 degrees. Some people do that. They've got a gas boiler, heat the room, but this area would be 23, 24 degrees all the time. Now, as you can imagine, on 6 kilowatts, 3 kilowatt there and 3 kilowatt there, I can't afford to heat this, even though it's quite thick polycarb. Can't afford to heat this to that temperature. So I'm getting a balance. So I've upped them to what they were, or to slightly a bit more than what they were last year. But it's very similar, as you can see on the marks on my actual heater. There, look. So I'm around there. not on at the moment. The fan's on, but they are off because this is up to 12 degrees now, so these will probably kick in about 10 when it drops to 10. At the minute it's quite mild. I say mild, it's probably hovering around about 10. So that at the moment has got to raise the temperature to 14 degrees, which is another 3 degrees of what it is. Once that's done, it'll probably be done tomorrow. Once that's done, I'll probably increment by 1 degrees then. What I could do, I could actually set the timer and have it, because I'm on economy 7, so at 1 o'clock in the morning, I think till about 7, it's on a cheaper tariff at night. So really it would pay me for me to come in here at 12 o'clock tonight and whack that on, because I'm going to be at, you know, a lot lower rate. But it takes longer than you think. That's on 12.1 now, look. So since I've made this video, or in the last 11 minutes, that's gone up 0.1, I think. And when I put it on, it was 11.8. So it's gone up 0.3 degrees. So they're not a rapid heat. I think that's 1 kilowatt. That's 1 kilowatt an hour. So at the minute, that'll be running at 1 kilowatt an hour. I think it's 50. Is it about 40p a minute? 48p. So that's costing me 48p an hour at the moment, which makes me wince, if I'm honest with you. But it's probably going to cost me, say, three quid a day to get this. 4 quid a day. £4.80 a day, probably. £5 a day this is to go to temperature. So it might take me 3 days to get it up, so it might cost me 15 quid just to get that up to temperature. But then once you're up to temperature, it goes off for a while, and then once it drops below 0.5, it kicks back in again. Well, you can set the threshold on these, because you don't want it coming on and off, on and off, on and off, because you're just going to burn it out and stuff. You want it to like drop and then stop on and then slowly heat up. I can't better check that. Is it you? No, it's not that. That's the temperature, 14 it's going to be at. Then you go up and down, press it again, and then that sets it. So yeah, I've cleaned the filter out, done that. I've actually, I'll tell you what I've done. On my outlet, I don't know if you've seen the video, but I've got an outlet and I had an eyeball fitting, like you have on the side of a pool, and there's like a ball and you can swivel it. Well, I glued it by mistake a long time ago, and I got it out this morning and I got my grips on it and I moved it, dislodged it, cleaned it, and now it's back to a moving eye again, a ball. So I've literally got it where it was sort of pointing like towards us, like that it probably was, going towards this side. I've now managed to adjust the ball so it's literally like, if you look at my hand, pointing that way, so it's like pointing down. So the water literally is, the eyeball's like pointing down this that direction now, like that. Let me see if we can possibly see it. Here's the fish. There it is, look, see the eyeball, you can see it all sticking out now, really sticking out, look, because it's pointing more down at an angle. Because it was glued, it was more straight. So as you can see, it really does get the things moving. There's the Karashigoi. There's a Sankey. There's the Chiba. The Kohaku, 2 Kohakus. The lighter one is the Bayer one, Koi Farm, and this one here was the one I got with the pond, the darker red one. Here's the Goshki. They really have grown well, I must admit. They don't look like they have here, but when they get closer, they really have got some good shape to them. So that's a bit of a change there as well, just to mention. All nice and clean in there now, look, and hosed out. And now I'm on my way out, I'm just going to do a final check, just to, every time you walk out of a space like this, everyone, final tip to end the video. Final tip, oh, wow, my hand's been there. Final tip to end the video: if you've got a grow on, or a greenhouse, or anything like this, or a pond, and you've been messing with it, make sure you have a walkout routine, right? So, what I do, I can hear the fans on, the heaters on, if you know what I mean. Check you haven't left any lids up, because I was messing with that a minute ago. I was obviously messing with this. Make sure this is back. Make sure your valves are all open. Just get that feeling of knowing when things are right, because there will be a day, because I've done it, where you walk out and you've left the air off, because I've done that before, because I've been tweaking. Oh, there you go. There you go. What an example. There, look. See that here, it's turned off. Because I've done the air to this. And I'll prove this now. So just, here you go. Oh my God. What a coincidence. You'd think I'd have made that up. That's a nice view of the fish there. Watch. What have I done? Lovely circulation still from the pond return, but watch. Here's back on to about there. I'd left the air off myself. What an idiot. There you go. Moral of the story is, check before you leave the room or your pond. That won't have done any damage at this time of year, I can assure you, because the water's cool, so there's less oxygen content percentage in the actual water. But in summer, if that had been summer, or if this had been summer, that could be catastrophic. So you imagine it's summer, the water's warm, there's less oxygen content, you might be on a bit of a cusp there, and you come in, leave that off, and it gets warm, you go out, the next day you might go, oh, not bother going in there today because I'm not very well. You give it a day, you come in, and disasters happened. So force yourself into these areas and do a walkout test. Have a walkout, look at where you are. And then it's sometimes, final tip, come back in about half an hour later and have a look. Or walk around your pond and have a look, just to make sure. Okay? See you on the next one. I've lost 1.7 stone now, 24 pound. Feeling a lot stronger. I can't do pull-ups though. I'm carrying too much pudding down here, guys. Too much pud. If I can get down to my goal, I would love to. I put like a bit of a pull-up thing on my cabin at the top on the outside, so I can hook it up and then start doing sit-ups. Not sit-ups, but you know, like where you hold yourself up and stuff like that. So, thanks for watching. See you on the next one. Where this pond, this grow, not pond is it really? Where this grow will hopefully have the feeder on, everything's hunky-dory, temperature's up, and my arse is doing that because the electric's been on a week. And then what will happen is, it's nice and mild now, but the cold spells will come, that heater will be on, that will be on, that will be on, and I'll be absolutely bricking it. Oh no, what did I do that for? But I'm going to try and hold tight, try and get that fish, that tosai, growing. I'd like to get another 10 centimetres on it, and in prep for March, when hopefully spring, I get that koi off Gary. I don't know if I'll travel down or get it delivered, I don't know yet. and we'll see, get that in there as well. What I might also do is grab a coil or two out of this one. I'm not sure yet, because I think I want to get them, I don't want them 3 that's already in there to get knocked, and get that sort of, that side gill, not I can't remember what it's called now, the scales. They've had some dodgy scales in the past because they're looking okay at the minute, and I don't want to upset them. So if I can give them some heat as well with some salt, they will really hopefully recover nice and strong, get my toe side growing well. So double edge benefit, if you like. Okay, thanks for watching, hope you're all okay, goodbye.